Awakenings, we discuss anomalous phenomena. The strange, the curious, the extraordinary, the bizarre. Throw in the occasional conspiracy theory, and you get us. Cecil, Hadley, Stephen, Tully, and myself, Morgana. Just a few of the Wyrd kids. Wyrd Awakenings is a part of the Wyrd Realities Network. Why, hello everybody, and welcome back to Wyrd Awakenings. Good to see everybody again. Apologies for the last couple of weeks, but we're back and good to go now.
Yeah.
Well, it was weekend before last was one of those things that just life happened. So
Yes.
We had the Great Chicken Massacre. My dog decided it was time to get into the chicken coop, and she had a field day. Lost over half my flock.
Wow. Really?
That's okay. She's still alive, but I don't know that any animal could get into that wood.
Wow. So do you think the dog finally understood what the chickens have been saying about her?
I don't know. The only thing we can figure is we got new ones that morning, and because she was so protective of the first set we had. And one of the other dogs would get near where they were, and she'd run them off. I mean, so she was like a really big mother hen. Well, when Stephen got home with them, we told him just put the new ones in the coop with the older ones and just check on them every couple of hours. And the only thing we can figure is because she was not introduced to the new ones, maybe she, was just being protective. And then once she got in there, just kind of went into a frenzy. So anyway,
So something new through it all. Yeah.
Or she figured out they were talking about her. That could definitely have been another one.
Yeah. I mean, if the chickens were sounding like Foghorn and Leghorn and Egghead, the other cartoon, I mean, it could have been that could have been a.
Well, I will tell you what the worst part of it was. Our oldest granddaughter is an animal lover and a half. If she does not end up a vet, then there's not ever been a person that deserved it, because we are not allowed to kill spiders. We have to do catch and release. And if I don't want to touch the spider, I can go get her and she'll take it out for me. That's a direct quote. She asked my son what it would cost to pay somebody to take out the dog.
That's funny.
She raised those chicks from the day they hatched until they were delivered to my house. So she is not happy. So I'm hoping that she'll get over it with time. But anyway,
hopefully so.
On a much more interesting subject, this week we are talking pyramids. Pretty much in most cases, they're tall, pointy, going up to the sky, but animal lovers. The thing about it is, when you say pyramids, most people immediately go to Egypt, but they're everywhere. I mean, sometimes it was at different times, but it's like people were simultaneously building pyramids all over the world.
Yes.
And people also immediately think, because of the Great Pyramid, that Egypt has the most, and that is not true. It's actually Sudan.
Hey, Shelby.
Hey, Shelby.
Sorry, Morgana.
Hey, Larry. And of course, hey, Landa. My bad. So,
I didn't see Larry. Hey, Larry.
We lost Stephen.
Oh, I see what the chat thing is. You can.
Yeah, it's not very big.
Maybe it is on. Landa, can you read the comments? You normally watch on TV, don't you? Let us know if you can see the comments. We're trying this out where everybody can see what everybody's saying until somebody starts talking crazy. We usually don't show those.
Yeah, we usually don't have a lot of that on this side. But yeah, the Kingdom of Kush has over 200 pyramids, and they're smaller. They're way more narrow. They're more almost cone shaped than pyramid shaped. Hello, stranger. So, and then, you go down into Mexico and you've got, the Pyramid of the Sun, and it's actually bigger than Giza. Not quite as tall, but overall it's larger. And then there's Chichen Itza, where the Mayans built their pyramids. I mean, so like I said, they're everywhere. Even Rome has one. I did not know that until I did the research for this.
Mm-hmm.
But, yep, they have the Pyramid of Cestius,
So
and it's just kind of there.
I guess a question for the audience, everybody that's listening, drop your theories on what the pyramids were used for. We're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. So we'll pick and choose. Drop your comments on what you think the pyramids are, and we'll speculate with you.
Yeah.
Larry, sometimes, okay, you have the ones pointing straight up that are in Egypt. The ones that are down in South America tend to be more flat topped.
Right.
They were talking about the ones in Sudan are almost cone shaped. They're squared off at the bottom, but they're not wide like they are in Giza. They're more, Christmas tree shaped, basically.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah. And I believe they have some more like that in India as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
yeah, they have them all over. And like I said, Joe, it's really funny, the similarities when these people, as far as we know, had absolutely no way of knowing where Egypt was or where Sudan was, while they were building them in South America.
Yeah.
Because
it's
according to history, we didn't have the technology for that back then.
So you mean the story tells us that they had no way of being connected, huh?
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
There's a bunch. Something that I made it just hit me like a sack of bricks. Something that I actually made a TikTok about. And I do have a weird TikTok, by the way. I've been posting a little bit there. Stephen shared a story.
Yeah.
I was asking people the scariest thing that they've ever seen in the woods. And that TikTok handle is Folking Wyrd. If you want to go follow it, if you doom scroll on TikTok, I normally post there once every week or two. I posted twice this week. And some of them do well. TikTok's a different beast. You can get stuff out there to people a lot easier on TikTok. But all that to say, I made a video about Poverty Point, which is in Louisiana. And it's in northeastern Louisiana, but it was built around, they estimate it to be 1700 years before Christ. And it features mounds and ridges laid out in a concentric circle. Its scale suggests highly organized society. They're saying there's no writing or artifacts, but there's speculation. And it's not just Poverty Point, but all over America. If you look at some older texts, there are people were finding Egyptian-like stuff. And that's a direct quote, Egyptian-like stuff all over the world. And oh yeah, we'll have to talk about that too, Shelby. I don't know if Stephen can riff on that, but the Arkansas pyramids, she said.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of Indian mounds, and I mean, if you still want to show that picture that I sent you from close to the diamond mine, I mean, I don't know exactly. I still don't know if that's man-made or if that's from volcanic activity or what. The only thing I can tell you for sure is that whenever you get about 5 to 7 miles northwest of that, there's another one. Well, and it's covered with flint.
I'm going to pop up a picture real quick.
If you can find it, Stephen, re-forward that to me, because my email purged a little bit ago.
Okay.
So
I will look for that.
Those are the different shapes of different ones around the world. So,
gotcha.
Mhm. Yeah, and honestly, with this right here, yeah, I'm gonna send it to you in a second.
Well, so while Steven's looking for that, I will say that when we had the great Stan Deo on and was talking to him about all of this,
Mhm.
his thoughts were, because he believes that there were fallen angels that walked the earth at one point,
Yep.
or Nephilim, or whatever you want to call them. Nephilim would be like I guess the bastards of the angels.
Right. Yep.
But he speculated that the reason there are different structures, like what you're seeing here on Morgana's screen, is that each sort of version of these would be a camp of different, like basically following the quote unquote old gods or the fallen ones.
Yeah.
But that in general, they all had these sort of structures.
Mhm.
As far as what they were is a whole different story, because they were used for different things. As far as what they've told us in history, I remember that picture now, Stephen. Let me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll-
With this right here, whenever you look in the Bible and you look at the Tower of Babel, they were trying to build a gateway to the stars, is what they were actually trying to do. Which is what Stan talked about when he said, whenever these what people considered to be deities would come down, they would have to basically de-energize before they could come down and be around the people. So that's what that is. And this right here is close to the diamond mine here in Arkansas. And with those rings around it, I honestly don't know if that's something that occurred naturally or if that was man-made or exactly what it is.
It doesn't look natural. I mean, if you think about erosion, I don't think erosion would create layers like that naturally.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought too.
Unless they tested it and it was like, this is limestone, this is a different stone, this is limestone, this is a different, you know what I mean?
Right.
Why, hello, Heather.
Hey, how are you tonight?
It is a weird boob. I agree, Linda. I like that. The most scientific answer we've gotten all night. That's the question of the night: is what do you think the weird boobs were used for?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep,
That's-
yep. And that is a big part of it because we have a lot of mounds over here too. The biggest
Oh, yeah.
one is the Emerald Mound.
Ruben.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I actually when I was getting stuff worked on for my work Pinterest page, so the way we're setting that up is places to see around the state, and things like that. And I didn't realize just how many we had in Mississippi until I started doing that research and everything. So, and like I said, I knew we had the one at Pocahontas because I've driven past that one all my life and everything. So, and it's huge. But I have not physically gone to see the ones over at the Emerald Mound. Now, Miss Heather Bradley, on the other hand, has. So, I'm not going to even pretend to throw out a bunch of information about it because I don't know.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
Well, I guess I'll say this about some of the mounds I've heard of. Word on the street is rumor has it that some of these mounds were so big that people actually flattened the tops of them off and built barns on them because they were so big.
Yep.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yep. Absolutely. And there's one in the northern part of the state that back in the 1800s, they built a big antebellum home on the top of one so that it kind of stood out. There are the cotton fields all around it, and here's the house on top of the hill. And I don't know that they knew that it was a.
Yes.
That
Where
reminds
was that? Where was that? I feel like I might have made a video about
Georgia.
that.
That was in Georgia, wasn't it? Was that?
Uh,
No, I'm thinking of a different house. I'm thinking of the wrong house.
I can't remember. Like Wheatland's Plantation in Sevierville, Tennessee, is like that. I know for sure.
Mont Helena Mansion in Rolling Fork.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
Hang on.
Um,
I've got a picture.
Let me
Well,
see.
yeah. Okay.
I'm a looking.
Share, present. That's where we're at.
Uh,
Oh, I never unshared my screen. Look at that. There you go.
oh, I'm sorry. That was my fault.
Oh
Oh,
no, it's so good. So see, like I said, I mean, it's literally built on the top of it. For years it was abandoned, and then a few years ago, someone went in and refurbished it, and I think now it's like a venue for weddings and stuff like that.
So I think that this must be a reoccurring theme, and maybe it was something in the old world.
Maybe so.
So you've got this one. The Wheatlands plantation was definitely on like native ground like that, very quartz heavy.
Yep.
And then the one that I just posted about today is the Deering estate. It was in Miami, Florida, and it is right over top of native land as well.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where there's like caves with paintings and everything else on them.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Hey,
nuts.
stranger,
Hey,
Hey, people that I love.
how are you?
Well, I was trying to put the patio furniture together, and then I said, "This is too complex for today." And even here, y'all were on. I said, "I'm going to go get on."
There you go.
Good.
Awesome.
I'm glad we get to see you and visit with you for a while.
yeah,
Well, I missed y'all.
Yes, we've missed you as well.
it's been a minute.
Yep. I've cheated a little bit. I've talked to her a couple of times, but not publicly.
Oh, okay.
She don't want to own up to knowing me.
Oh
You're gonna
yeah,
have to-
that's definitely it.
Here, I'll put the voice changer on
There you
just
go.
so that nobody knows who.
Right.
Oh shoot.
Anywho,
There you go. She's still on Vampire Time.
We did that new Sinners movie last night. I told the boys they knew that they had to get the vampires out for me to show up.
Yep. You about got moved in?
All my stuff is here. I'm having to buy new stuff. My office is not ready, so I'm on my laptop again. And once I get everything set up in my office, I'll be on more regular. But
Cool. So tell everybody some about the Emerald Bound.
Emerald Bound, and I don't know the history. I'm just going to go by like what I know about it.
Mm-hmm.
First off, Tracy will take people down to do their like final ceremonies for either their like master Reiki, or I think some of their shamanic journey stuff. She'll take them down there to do their final stuff. It's got a lot of energy. When I've been there, you used to could walk up it. Now you can't do it. When Rich was here, we went and you couldn't walk up it anymore. But the last time I went, you could. So you could get on top of the mound and look over the whole area. And I could see, I don't know if it was ley line energy or what, but you could see where stuff was. And it made like, to me, it was shaped like a big eagle or a thunderbird.
Okay.
So I thought that was real interesting. But it's the mound dwellers, I think is what they call the Natchez Indians. They were part of that whole thing that came down from Poverty Point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, see, you used to walk up it, now you can't. Because I kept telling Rich, well, just keep walking. There's stairs. He was like, there's no stairs, Heather. So
They removed the stairs. Did that one, like Poverty Point, did that one have a tunnel going inside it?
I don't know. You know, my dad grew up over by Poverty Point, and when he was little, like he grew up in Franklin Parish, and when they would till up the earth, because his grandparents were farmers, that's who raised him, they would find pieces of pottery. They would find, he had like one of the best arrowhead collections, and someone stole it at a state fair one year. But they just tilling the earth, everything would just show up over there. And on their land, there was actually like a burial mound across the street. Because I remember him showing me when I was real little. So it's all up and down the Mississippi River. There were these mounds, which it to me is very interesting because when you go into the Irish fairy lore, it ties into the bound dwellers, like the fae, they lived under the ground. And I've always thought that there's something to that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
anyway.
I believe that we've actually covered it before when we were talking about that with Ireland, that they've actually found some underground dwellings. You know, they're way too small for normal sized people.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
and-
they're supposed to be like taller than humans.
oh, okay.
And what I've heard of the Norse elves as well, like the ones that are in Iceland, they're tall too.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like how tall
I'm
though?
misunderstood.
Like 6'6" and up.
Okay.
Okay, so still
You could be
fightable.
one. You could be one, Tully.
So, like, you both could be.
Yeah, they-
So I got a treat for us. Hang on, let me. I've queued up a video about some speculation, and maybe we can react to this a little bit. I won't play the whole. Just tell me to stop if you see anything interesting that you want to talk about.
okay.
Let me share with sound here. So this is speculation of a mountain that could be a pyramid. And it's very fitting for what we're talking about tonight.
Kailash.
Can you hear
the Tibet Autonomous Region, and it's not even on the top 100 highest mountains. No one, as far as we know, in history has ever summited the mountain. There was these men from Siberia in the late 1900s. They're like, we're going to summit this mountain. And so they started going up, but they realized hours into the journey that they were aging. So their hair and nails had grown within hours that would equate to them being on the mountain for weeks or months at a time. Not even a year after they climbed this mountain, they all died, and their signs of death were old age, but they're all young dudes, like 20s and 30s. This is what's crazy. In the 1990s, Russian and Siberian scientists started publishing wild research papers claiming that Kailash is a gigantic ancient pyramid. So they believe that Mount Kailash is not natural. They argue its perfect geometric shape and cardinal alignments are too precise for nature.
Look at that.
Yep.
Wow.
So again, like we asked, I don't think you were here yet, Hadley, but we asked the audience in the beginning, like, to drop theories on what the pyramids actually do. But this is there's a lot of wild Russian stories of their wilderness, because if you look at a map of the areas in Russia that's actually populated, there's very little. So there's always, like, people are always discovering crazy stuff like this. I just wanted to share because it's kind of a wild story, right?
Yes. Well, have you ever looked into the Bosnian pyramids?
No.
That's something you should check out as well.
Now, have y'all said anything about there's supposed to be a pyramid off the coast of Louisiana in the Gulf?
Do you know what it's called?
No, I just randomly saw something sometime that cited it.
Okay.
Pyramid.
And there's supposed to be a buried pyramid in Alaska that is black.
Now, I've heard of that.
Okay.
Yes, and I think I can probably conjure a video about that too.
Yeah.
If we want to watch one here in a few minutes. I'm trying to find I see the claims of that, but I'm not seeing any like radar, like, satellite views of what could be.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, it could have been bombed, out of existence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're bombed.
Yeah. And that's what they were saying. Yeah, an important note, while some of the findings in the Gulf of Mexico might be associated with pyramid-like structures, it's crucial to distinguish between natural formations, artificial structures created for specific purposes, and claims of ancient civilizations that remain unverified.
Yeah.
So that's a dead giveaway right there. It must be something if they're giving you that kind of
Yeah,
warning.
I mean, for the people who argue back and forth on the Bimini Road off the coast of Florida, that's where would the Bimini Road be going?
Well, isn't that where they have those spears? Isn't that by the Bimini Road? Those perfect spears that are sunken?
they're all the way over to the Yucatan Peninsula. You know, it's they're those spears are found all over the world.
Well, you know, in the Hindu text or the Bhagavad Gita, you know, I'm going to call it Anagata Devita, is just where I take it. They have pyramids, and in their history, those are spaceships.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, well, it's just like the one in Egypt. We haven't really touched on that a lot, but you know, they've always said, or initially, like what you grew up learning were that pyramids were burial places for pharaohs and stuff like that.
But they've never found a body in one,
which is just crazy. And the structures that they've liddar'd under the Great Pyramid now are like what, 2 miles down? I forget how many kilometers.
Yeah, it was a couple of miles, I think, when we talked about it last time.
And we've said this a few times now, but I don't think that they're Egyptian.
No.
Yeah.
Hey,
Alan.
I think that it is. Isn't it like sound waves? Isn't it doing something with sound?
So that's a thought. That's a camp of belief, if you will.
That one.
Mass food storage. It'd be perfect for food storage. It's dark and cool.
Right.
It's like an Amish refrigerator.
Yeah.
In the desert, especially.
And Heather, a couple of it's been about 2 months ago, we were talking about the news story about the space underneath the Egyptian pyramids, and they were using some kind of sonar type device, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, one of the things, and this is just, you know, I haven't really been studying much in the last year, but a lot of stuff that I have been reading, it all comes about to sound, to pitches, to you know, that kind of technology. And I think there's just something to it.
It could very well could be.
Yeah, it's you know, some people believe through the proper sound, you know, that's how they levitated some of these huge stones.
Well, yeah, and I could probably there's the video of the one dude going into the Great Pyramid and emitting a sound into the one chamber, and it reverberates through the whole thing. Which is what you know, you get into like the Tartarian bells and stuff like that with healing frequencies. In that camp of thought, Hadley, people believe that the pyramids were like healing centers.
We really need to get Jason back on and have a good conversation about
that. Would be cool. Yeah, that would be really cool.
I'm gonna say get Tracy on too, and Carla. Both of them are, you know, professional musicians with a lot of the stuff that we talk about. Tracy's doing sound healing now.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
She's supposed to come do
yeah, maybe. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Right. Yeah. And you know, I think I agree with it would have been a hell of a place to store food, but by the same token, they've never found food or storage vessels or anything like that in the ones that
but have found hundreds of mummified cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cats are aliens. That's why.
Cats are aliens. The dog don't like that.
So, but you know, and that's one of the things that, you know, we kind of wanted to touch on too, is the fact that, like I said, you know, these are all over the world and they're similar from people who supposedly did not have any contact with anyone else. And they weren't chatting on ancient Zoom back then, guys. You know, I mean, so it's not like you called up and said, hey, you know, let's go build something. Let's have a contest, you know.
Well, unless, you know, that's what the common story is, you know, is they didn't have that kind of contact. But I think more and more people are probably getting on board with the fact that the civilization was probably at least as advanced as what it is now, if not more advanced, sometime however many thousands of years ago back in the past. And there was this mud flood or whatever that wiped everything out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Evidence, lots of evidence.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah, absolutely.
And we
Well-
don't get the haters in the comments on this show, but on our regular shows, we would be getting or like on the other show, I should say, we'd be getting comments like "you uneducated fools," like just
I'm glad. I'm glad. Oh,
yeah.
I should save my salvos for the time when I really need them. Huh?
It's a bad deal. Somebody went through the one show, and I bet there's 37 timestamps where they're like, "This isn't true. This isn't true. This isn't true. This isn't true. This isn't true. Why are you laughing? This isn't true." Like, just it's a bad deal. It gets bad out there. People are nice on this show.
Sometimes on YouTube, I just don't share them.
Okay, and Landa, I'm right there with you, love, because I've always said I can get behind Howard, but if there were a flat Earth, some damn body's cat would have knocked something over by now, and everybody would know about it.
God, if on that show that you're talking about, Landa, if Morgana would have had the chat in the corner, like what she does now, we'd be banned off everything because of the comments. Everything.
I discovered this button right before we came on, and I'm like, I wonder what this does. Tully, do you know? And he's like, turn it on. Let's see.
We had the most vile, racist, anti-Semitic comments that you've ever seen coming in during that show.
Is that why Cecil had to knock people off? You told me he had to keep kicking people off, and I still haven't gotten around to listening to it from the beginning.
He banned like probably 10 people.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, that was the night of the Great Chicken Massacre, Landa. So, it was this guy that is Flat Earth Dave.
Yeah,
I think his name.
Yeah,
he's the flat earther.
Yep.
And people don't like. A lot of people don't like him. Actually,
yeah. So no, I had every intention of being there. So, but.
Well, and the majority of the hate is it's so strange. It's because Dave is Jewish,
right?
And all the hate comments were around that. It was just like wow.
So they were directing them at him and not at what he was talking about.
Oh yeah, straight at
terrible.
him. Straight at him. It was a bad deal.
I'm glad I wasn't on because it would have gotten ugly. So to be sending out private messages. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, it was a bad deal. Which he was like, it's gonna happen. Just prepare.
Yeah.
So he was handling it better than y'all were.
Oh yeah, it must happen to him on a weekly basis. Which is crazy.
Yeah. And I've come to the point in my life where I do agree with you on the let them say what they want to say. So at least then I know where they're at.
Right.
But when you're being just nothing but a jerk, you don't have to be here. Move on.
And that's
go somewhere else.
I was very careful to say that. Like, it's not that you can't say what you want to say. Totally say it. But just like we always say, it's so we know who you are. And if you get banned from the channel, that's a consequence of you having freedom of speech. Like that's
I should probably mention that Weird Realities Network has sponsored a middle school swim team here in the great state of Mississippi. So I'm trying to clean up some of the comments that we see on Wednesday nights.
Yeah. This one, like I said, is never bad because, like I said, we have a handful of people that always show us love and comment, and we generally on this one do not have.
On Weird Awakenings, we are PG-13.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Don't come on wearing the folk unless you are ready for that not rated 17.
Yeah. Perfect for your neighborhood swim team. Join us at 8 p.m. on Fridays. I almost said Thursdays.
Well, I'm going to check out some other sponsorships. So if y'all have any that you think will be good for us too, that's kind of my new way of kind of promoting us. So
if you could get us sponsored by like any nicotine pouches, That would
Come on,
be
just
awesome.
snatch off the bandage, Tony.
Yep,
It's
nicotine
been
pouches.
how long now?
Let's
Are
see.
you stopping smoking?
I haven't smoked in a year and a half.
Well, I'm so proud of you. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's great.
What else? What else do we use a lot?
Coffee.
Coffee. A coffee company.
Coffee's good.
Yeah.
Get us sponsored by a coffee.
Vodkas in Jackson, and they make a phenomenal honeysuckle vodka.
Yeah.
Honeysuckle. Really?
Honeysuckle. It tastes just like, you remember how you got that one drop? When it hits
Yes.
the back of your throat, you get that taste. And then
That'd be
it's gone.
dangerous.
Oh,
Really?
it is.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
I used to keep a bottle in my freezer until I went cold turkey.
Well, especially as a mixer.
Yeah.
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 I've always been a vodka shot fan.
Imagine.
But after I banned Stoli, it was years before I found one that I kept in the freezer. I wanted Crystal Head to be that vodka. I love the story behind it. I love everything about it, but
I can't
just
share that
couldn't.
comment, Lando. We got to think about the swim team.
That's right. We can do that for the other show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so pyramids, guys, pyramids. One of the things that a lot of them have in common is the fact that, say, the pyramids in Giza are lined up with Orion's belt.
Right.
So are the Teotihuacans. Also, the Chinese burial pyramids align to cardinal directions also.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them have that same astronomical thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think there's.
Did you see where
there's
someone
some
broke
even-
one of the terracotta warriors this week?
No,
No.
Yeah, it was a
it's
tourist.
terrible.
A terrorist or a
Tourist.
Okay.
The tourists, they cause damage to some of the terracotta warriors.
That's what it said. I didn't read the article. I just saw the picture and I was like, that would suck so hard.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
damaged 2 terracotta warriors. It happened on May 30th. A 30-year-old domestic tourist climbed the protective fence and entered the pit, pushing and pulling up the clay warriors. The damage caused to 2 of the statues is considered to be varying degrees, and he was reported to suffer from mental illness, according to officials.
Oh, wow.
So,
Weird.
30-year-old man.
Why? That makes no sense to me why somebody would want to cause damage like that.
Well, it's like those tourists that want to pet the polar bear. You know, bison. I mean, come on.
Oh, my favorite one was a group of people. They had a moose corner. This has been a couple of years ago.
Oh,
And
my.
the memes that came out about it were awesome because it's like, really? This thing's like 7 feet high and you're going to corner it? You're
Yeah.
going to lose.
Yeah, I had a cousin who was in the Air Force, and he was stationed in Alaska. Well, he was actually married to one of my cousins, and they're older than me. And it was back in the '60s whenever he was stationed in Alaska, and they told everybody on the base that if a moose gets in here, leave it alone. Do not mess with it because it will completely destroy an airplane.
Yes. Yep.
They're that big. They can destroy.
I had heard how big they were, but Mo's cousin lives in Alaska, and she had sent a picture of her house from outside the kitchen window so you could see it for. And then she took a picture, and she actually took this one first. It was the moose's nose was eye to eye with her. And so she walked outside to show, look, this is how high this window is,
Yeah.
It was amazing, just,
Yeah.
But she said it was totally normal for, the wildlife in the wintertime, because they, of course, associate food with people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Morgana, you remember a couple of years ago, there was that tourist that wanted to get a selfie with a bison in Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah.
And it hooked them and threw them up in the air. That lady was from Gluckstadt.
Oh, of course she was.
What's up, burrito?
Or Flora or somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's tit for tat. 2 service stations and a couple of restaurants that you can't see from the highway.
Yeah,
And I grew up in Yazoo City, so
Yeah.
Rita said, "Pet the teddy bears in Yellowstone." That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Bowl is yours.
Yeah. Mm.
so how did they build them? Dozens
Sticks and
of tons of
stones.
rock. They didn't have cranes. They didn't have bulldozers.
Horse and
But
buggies.
allegedly, they had thousands of people pulling on ropes and pushing sleds around.
Yeah.
Pulling on ropes.
And I'm going to tell you, my dad was always a big stickler about checking plumb and all that stuff when he was building stuff. And his philosophy as well, as long as it's under an inch, we can live with it. Theirs were more precise than that.
Yes.
Never mind. I was like, there's not a lot of men that would say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm being stupid.
That's okay.
But I did find a video of the Black Pyramid that Stephen was talking about. If you want to watch it,
Yes.
Because it's an alleged pyramid because it's under wraps, if you will.
Yep.
But this is a let's see, burrito. I'm not sure. Did they have oxen?
Yeah. Well, to me, it's here's the thing where we're going to get into some different schools of thought. Is that everything on the planet was bigger back before the catastrophic event took place. Plants, animals. You can see the fossil record of how big some of the crocodiles and stuff like that were.
The dire wolf that they just resurrected.
The dire wolf.
Even the stumps like Uluru. There's one in America. I forget the name of it. The red rock that looks like a tree stump.
Yep.
The one that looks like it has an axe in it. That's not AI, mind you.
Right.
Originally, I thought it was, but it's not.
I have actually made the comment twice this week. That was back before AI, so I know it was true.
Right.
Yeah, it's getting scary.
It is.
We watched some of those videos last week. Like they've done some biblical ones too, which are
they're funny.
Crazy.
One of the girls that I work with, her parents, they're older, and they've recently watched some Billy Graham reruns that she kept up. Mom, that's AI. Mom, she's trying to explain to her how you can tell or tells that you can look for. They're having lunch with their minister a couple of times a week to discuss these things that they thought Billy Graham said this, but now they're seeing that he said that because they've got video.
It's getting harder and harder to tell.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, show us the video of the Black Pyramid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to let it ride.
Talk to each other in depth in any way. Nothing more than elevator talk. They constantly switched us up with new partners. We never knew.
Well, I should say this. The dude's voice is masked.
Yeah.
Because it kind of sounds weird, but he's just talking about basically his time at this pyramid, I guess, is what it's about.
Nothing more than elevator talk. They constantly switched us up with new partners. We never knew who we were being paired with. It's a way to minimize risk for the government. No one talks to someone they don't know. We were constantly swapping barracks, living quarters. We were assigned where to sleep, where to eat, what time of day we could do this, what time of day we could take breaks. It was all planned to protect this secret. What it is exactly, I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows. We weren't told anything. It's a rock, a black hard substance, maybe harder than rock. It's smooth. It's some power source, I think. It puts off a sulfur smell that permeates the shafts they dug. I think it makes that smell when it's turned on or whatever. But whatever it is, it's important. Military leaders, government contractors, scientists, we're constantly coming and going. So are security teams. Whatever it is, it's very, very important to someone high up. It's up some electromagnetic frequency or something that disables electronics for the most part. Incoming and outgoing aircraft had to be real careful. I mean, there were multiple instances of wrecks on or near this facility. And I'm not sure if it's from the Black Pyramid or something that they installed to protect it. I'm guessing this has been here for thousands of years. It's completely underground. They had to dig out tunnels through solid rock just to access it, and they're still digging out around it to try to clear it out.
So that's peculiar, because something that we've talked about a lot on this show is the Alaskan Triangle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Talk about planes falling out of the sky and stuff. And that's literally what he just said, is the aircraft have to be careful when approaching this LZ, because they will malfunction as they get closer to where the pyramid is. So what I'm thinking immediately is Alaskan Triangle, planes were falling out of the sky. They wanted to investigate it, and were digging around the site, probably had some weird readings, and found this black pyramid that's now being guarded. But if you noticed, he said turned on at one part.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
So
where
that
it
was
interfered with electronics or
my
what have
thought
you.
was, yeah, did they accidentally find it while, drilling for, oil or something? Or like say, they were investigating
Mhm.
and they came across something that was a totally different substance than what was all around it.
No, it could be
because-
too. Yeah.
Because I realized that some of that was AI, imagery.
Oh, for sure.
But I could only imagine if you had something that was that far advanced, that it's possible that it was made of something closer to like obsidian or something
Yes.
like that, something that would stand out immediately and still give it that black color.
But there's do you remember, I think we shared this story a while back, but a similar cave in Russia
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
where they said they found a body that was preserved. Do you remember that? And then when they touched the body, it started decomposing.
I vaguely remember us talking about
It's been
that.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nothing recent, but
Right. Yeah. I remember, supposedly out of Russia, or what used to be Russia may still be Russia now. I don't know for sure. Anyway,
They don't either.
yeah. Well, it's 12 times, so who knows for sure what's what. Anyway, there are people who claim to have seen giants that were basically in stasis. They're just, I don't know. It's kind of like they're asleep or they're in whatever.
would
Waiting.
not surprise.
So, and supposedly this was a dentist that had gotten access to this right here. Somebody let him in, and he said you had to be careful just getting too close to these things, because it could cause you to have a headache, even though they're not awake, they're not conscious, or that you know of.
Do you think that goes into the whole infrasound?
It very well could. It's some of the stories, with what they say that the giant sounded like, said it was just horrifying just to hear one. So I don't.
Almost like that voice of God type thing.
Uh-huh.
Like I said,
I mean, they say that about Bigfoot too.
Right.
They're so big, their vocal cords and all are just different, or their sound.
Yeah, it's there's so many things we still don't know about the Bigfoot. There's honestly very little that we do know about them. Do they have two sets of vocal cords or something like that? Could that be why they can make noises that we can't hear, that go out of our hearing in the upper levels, and also produce infrasound that drops out of our hearing range?
Yeah, I think there's a lot about, well, I know Jason would agree, but I think there's a lot about sound that we don't understand fully, or that's being suppressed.
Yes.
Just like with the ROF machines. Yeah, the bells.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, I mean, because like I said, I think we touched vaguely on the bells when Jason was on the last time, and we never got to deep dive into it because it was just one of those, I think one of our questions we wanted to ask him,
Well, yeah,
Ted reached out. He's always happy to come back. So
it probably doesn't help that
Yeah.
Jason ain't a lunatic. So
That's right.
he knows the practicality, which is but that, I think that's the touch that we need for that sort of conversation.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Because like I said, that's why I love talking with someone like that. And like I said, having talked to Tracy, so I had a session with her here last year, I think it was earlier this year, something like that. And just, you can tell by the way she works and everything that this is something, one, that she's very comfortable with, but two, that she's put a lot of time and effort into learning, so she's got, drums going and rattles, and she's got background music and everything like that. And it works. So, somebody that does that kind of thing.
I don't know what we said to trigger that, Lando.
We're lovable, Tully. We're lovable. So,
most of the time.
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah. Well, so
listen to we're in a folk show, and I'm making Cecil nervous.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Unless we're foaming at the mouth, we're going crazy.
Yep, that's it. So
I really felt like I had accomplished something that night, though. Whenever I was making him nervous.
So I dug up a video, and this video wants to be like, "Oh, this is something secret," but we don't get to talk about all of the stuff that China has because China's so secretive.
Mm-hmm.
But someone was able to travel there and check out these pyramids in China.
Yes. Nobody will think they're pyramids now since we have trees on them.
I mean, that's like
Right.
the Valley of the Kings level.
Yes.
Mhm. Yep.
But yeah, it sucks that humanity's such at odds with each other.
Yes.
Maybe we'd be able to figure something out if everybody could get along.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and I knew a little bit about the Chinese pyramids because, Mo went down that Chinese rabbit hole he's still there. But anyway, he actually started talking about it, and the fact that, they kind of blend in with the forest and everything.
I talk about his tea habits a lot.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
There's not even just pyramids, but like if you look up Huashan Mountain, and I'm sure that I'm butchering that, but it's very similar to Mount Shasta in California.
Yep. Well, and Chichen Itza, they were down there, archaeologists and everything, looking for stuff and walked around it for ages because of the vegetation and everything covering it.
Oh yeah, they had to dig all that stuff out.
Right. It was just an accidental find because they just thought it was a hill in the forest and everything. So how many are still buried?
I really want them to crack the code on the soil from down there, like that, like the soil recipe that they had. If it was natural, I'm not entirely convinced.
Well, there's a lot, and it's not just China. There's a lot in many countries that you don't see all of the stuff and everything. I would love to see somebody get a really in-depth look at the Nazca lines. Because you see some pictures and stuff that they've never really done the research on the ground and stuff. Like say, what kind of soil they have, because I heard somebody not actually that long ago say, "Oh, it was all just done with hot air balloons," and I'm like,
"What?
Really?" Well, yeah, somebody
hot
was up
air
there
balloons.
directing the people down below on what direction to go. I'm like, some of these things are like 1,000 feet long.
There's a lady that goes to what used to be called the Victory of Lot Festival. It's in Sharonville, Ohio. It's a huge convention of like psychics and ghost hunters and crystal hunters and rock hunters, and everybody just converges.
Oh, that sounds like a place for me.
Yeah, for one weekend twice a year. It happens in April and November, and there's a lady that's there every time, and she goes to Peru and she goes to Madagascar like 2 or 3 times a year and sources sustainably and respectfully sources rocks and carvings from locals. And the stories she has from like the indigenous folk of Peru, like around Nazca and stuff like that, are just crazy. That's where like they have their own divination stones, like similar to runes.
Mhm.
And I don't even know how to explain them. I may be able to pull up a picture or something, but she got like 3 sets. Like she never, like, that's how you know, like she shows you all the pictures, she shows you the people she meets and who it came from, and that's all she's got.
Hmm.
But it's really cool to hear about those kind of folk from around the world. And they have a lot of stories, a lot of superstition and stuff like that you would never see in a like Nazca line documentary or something like that.
Mhm.
Well, they are called Peruvian chumpy stones or Andean sacred stones.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
They're cool.
somewhere around here, I've got a sack of them.
really, well, it's a friend of mine from another state. He knew some guys that I don't know. They part of the time they lived in Mexico, part of the time they lived in the U.S. And they had actually found some stones with carvings of Quetzalcoatl,
Oh, wow.
the feathered serpent. They'd actually found some in the mountains in Mexico, and they showed it to him. And I don't think I still have pictures of the stones, but he shared with me some of the pictures that they sent him. But I mean, it was really interesting stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
That's cool. Yeah.
That's
So,
nuts.
Tully, are you going to the Festival of Light or the Victory of Light Festival this year?
I've already been once.
Oh,
Already been once.
Yes.
I'll be going again in November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's such cool people there. Like, hang on, let me take this off. I'll show it to you. The dude that made this is just like a copper
Yes.
wrapped bracelet.
Yeah.
He does all kinds of copper stuff. He's from Florida, and he only comes in November.
Really?
What's the date in November?
It should be the weekend before Thanksgiving. Yeah, I think it'll be that weekend. But it's in the Sharonville Convention Center. People come from all over the world. You'll have like all these Reiki masters, shamans, authors, tons of just spiritual people. You've got paranormal folk, and it may not be called Victory of Light anymore.
It is. It's called the Victory of Light Psychic Expo.
Okay, there you go. But it is a big, beautiful festival with tons of stuff. If you're, within striking distance of it, I would highly recommend. It's always a good time.
Yep. That's what I was sitting here
Morgana?
trying to find. Yeah.
We might have to road trip.
November 20th and 21st, I think.
I got them on the 21st. I can't miss.
Yep. 20th and 21st.
That's the weekend before Thanksgiving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
The one in April, there's not as many people there.
Mhm.
If you're gonna go, it needs to definitely be the November date.
I could see if Mo could get like a load going to Cincinnati or something and say, Tully, pick me up at the truck stop on your way through.
We could totally do it.
Hey, we're still supposed to be seeing about getting together at a haunted house in Alabama.
Georgia.
Yep.
Georgia. There you go. My bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Still not too late for a late summer rendezvous.
Mhm. I mean, I need somebody to meet me there. We figured it out. It was exactly the same distance from my house to there and Cecil's to there.
Yeah, right. Rachel was down.
Yeah. Cool.
Um,
and she
I'd like to
was
talk
just
to her again.
awesome.
I'd like to talk to her again.
Yep.
Well,
She was awesome.
get her back.
Oh God, what was her name? I'm so sorry.
No.
It was Max's sister, and
Yes.
that's
Max
his
Crump's
phone
Hang
name.
on. Jody? Was it Jody?
Yes.
Sounds
Yes.
right.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
God. She was
Jody was great.
she was awesome. I will need to reach out to her. I haven't reached out. I've had a crazy week. I need to reach out to a bunch of people. Because I've had people kind of hanging on and not hanging on, but like that I need to reach out to in email
Yeah.
and stuff. So I'll do that.
I saw somebody the other day, and I may have saved it on my phone that I was going to send you. Since you're not getting Stephen King for me, I figured
Listen.
I'd get more down to earth.
I may not be able to get Stephen King, but I have proven that I can get some pretty big,
Yes, you can.
pretty
Yes.
big guests.
Yes,
you
you
might
can.
could get Owen King.
I don't know who that is.
That's his youngest son, who's only written one book.
Oh,
His other son is Joe Hill.
The Monroe Institute, we might not be able to get like one of the big names, but there's a lady that's like trained through them, and she represents them in Mississippi that we could get.
Hey, that would be interesting.
if you think that's possible, I'm totally going to let you do it because I could not get the one gal that, and I was very open. I was like, we'll talk to anybody. Like, give us your best student. Even I don't care.
Yeah, they're. We'll talk later about that, but
Okay. But anywho, we're just rambling.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening. We were about 10 minutes late tonight because we were also rambling before the show.
well, I'm glad I got to ramble with y'all for a little bit.
Yeah,
See
you
your
totally
face.
should.
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's been forever.
Yep, it has.
Y'all are going to
Not
see
that-
more of me now that I'm getting settled. So
Good.
I have been a Rolling Stone for about 6-7 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I'm waiting for you to get settled before I come see the new house. Because
Hopefully it won't be long. I've got so many cardboard boxes I could start my own shipping business.
well, Mo had a big bonfire last weekend, so I
That's what I
finally
was
got
gonna
rid
say.
of all the ones I had.
Just pile them all up in the yard and set them on fire. It'll
Well,
be good for
that
the
works
grass.
great until you look around and the wind's going whoosh, whoosh, and you're like, yeah, this might not be the day for that. We're in a wooded area, so you do have to take those things into consideration.
Yeah.
So, but all right, well, guys, we appreciate you joining us as always, and look forward to you again next weekend. And would you be surprised if I told you I don't have my list right up in front of me right now?
I feel like it's going to be something good.
It's got to be something good. You know what? I know where I can go to get an answer too. I don't. have to go
Landa,
find-
you're going to win our Person of the Year award.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
with your own special place in the newsletter.
Yep. I'll get you a plaque made.
I tried to get her to do my name my house. And she said
Well,
she
you
didn't do it.
should. I mean, I think everybody should throw something in.
I do too, but only 4 people have submitted, but 2 of them never submit anything. So
Okay. Well, that's cool. So I'm almost there. I almost have us. Okay, here we go. Next week, we are talking about the Men in Black, the paranormal bureaucrats.
There you
Lots of those.
Yep, we should get Scott to hop on.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
I
Yeah.
think he'll be out of school by then. See,
Yep. I will shoot him a message this week.
We don't get to
Yeah.
talk to old Scott enough.
No,
But you know what? He likes everything that we do. So I
Yeah.
yeah.
would love to
Yep,
talk
yep.
to him.
Scott Baker's one of a kind, one of the good ones.
Yes, he
Yep.
is.
So yep, we've got that next week. Then on the 20th, we're doing transhumanism.
And I want to do a shout out to all the people listening. If you would, please give us a big thumbs up because Morgana, Tully, Stephen, and Cecil do an amazing job. And we want to make sure that other people know about that.
Yeah. Well, y'all are the ones that do an amazing job. I'm the I'm the one that only pretends to know
Listen.
stuff, and I bring the least to the table.
That's
It's
not
not the
true at
same
all.
when you're not here.
That's not
know,
true at all.
Say, look, anytime it comes to historical, especially historical in a religious connotation, you're my go-to person.
Mm-hmm.
We
you
wouldn't
know.
have had the satellite view of the boob, as Landa said.
exactly. There you go.
I
So
named it.
Yeah,
that's right.
the boo.
You're also my Bigfoot go-to person. So see, you're here for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really funny
Chemtrails.
because it started out as just an invitation of, hey,
Yeah.
you want to come
Oh.
on our
No,
show?
no, I might be a flake, but I know how to get the right people in the room.
Hey,
I gotta-
you've told you for years you're the damn cat herder.
Yes.
Yep.
I got to
I
plug.
have been told that I am a lighthouse, that I bring people to the light.
That's true.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
to plug though for
Yeah.
because we're not going to be able to go this year, but the West Virginia Bigfoot Conference is at the end of June. I'm not sure exactly the dates, but I think it's like around the 25th. If you go to the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum on Facebook or Twitter, something like that, they've got posters. The folks who were on Mountain Monsters are going to be there, of course. Lots of Bigfoot researchers are going to be there, like people who are actually out in the field. None of them get along. And the Turtle Man will also be there. And it's a huge festival. They've got tons of vendors, tons of great food, shirts, and just everything you can imagine, like anything cryptid related, it's all there.
Mhm.
So if you can make it to Sutton, West Virginia, on whatever date the flyer says, you totally should. Landa, I've met the Turtle Man more times than I like to admit. Um,
I don't know who the Turtle Man is.
My goodness.
You don't know who I'm talking about? He had his own he had his own show.
No.
Yeah.
He's like the Kentucky extraordinaire. Like he hunts
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, he's like the Steve Irwin of Kentucky.
Yes.
Okay.
And he also believes in all of the cryptids, but he's at every Bigfoot festival or conference, no matter where it's at. And not just Bigfoot, but he's also at a lot of the alternative cryptids. So he kind of goes around for everything. Of course, he's at the Turtle Days Festival in Cherubusco, Indiana, where the Beast of Busco was, which was they say it was a 500 to 600 pound snapping turtle.
Yeah.
And
Good Lord.
there's a whole museum dedicated to it, and they've got the nets that it broke through. They said they basically blew up the lake. They were throwing dynamite, they were shooting like everything and couldn't get it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but
the worst thing I've ever smelled was a dead snapping turtle in upriver of the Pearl River. It was probably about the size of a round table, like a round dining table.
Really?
And someone had run over it and it killed it. Well, I guess with a motorboat or something.
if you
But,
could have
oh my God, it smelled like 10 dead people. It was horrible.
if you could have put a big hook in it and threw it in the river, you'd have had a 100-pound catfish.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it was in the river. It had floated up to the edge. It just was horrible smelling.
You know, my dad's best friend not one, but he caught the largest catfish ever caught on record in Mississippi back years ago. It's been beat since then.
That's
And it was
awesome.
an 85-pound catfish. And you talk about something that is ugly. Catfish are not pretty on a good day, but
What
when
that
you
take
start,
probably took hours to
They're
even
like
reel it in.
monsters.
he
Okay.
caught it on a damn trot line.
Okay.
A trot line. He was pulling lines, and he had to fight it to get it, but he got it up in the boat.
That's
He
crazy.
held the record for about a month, before
Really?
somebody got a big one. Yeah, yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, so Sutton, huge Bigfoot activity area, but Sutton, West Virginia, if you're interested, is also about 2 miles away from Flatwoods, or maybe a little bit more, but within 15 minutes away from Flatwoods,
Really?
where the Flatwoods monster, which is West Virginia's like second biggest cryptid next to Mothman,
Yeah.
People argue on whether it was an alien. Shout out Soldier Boy. But yeah, it's a very cool place. We went last year. Super chill. There's 2 gas stations, 1 restaurant. It's out in the middle of nowhere. The festival is probably triples the town's population for the weekend.
Really?
So
Wow.
you're supporting like local small businesses.
Yeah.
It's just a very awesome thing they do out there. Respect it and wish we could go this year, but we can't.
Yep.
And on that note, anybody listening, if you have events in your area that fall under our umbrella, shoot them to us and I will put them in our newsletter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, we love local stuff, so like I said, if you've got something going on and you think people might be interested, I try to get everything in no later than the 20th of the month. If you get it to me before that, it'll make it to that issue that comes out on the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to submit a story for bragging rights on naming my new house, we're having a contest. Morgana has the details. It was in the last newsletter. And we're probably going to make a anthology with the stories that we get.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you get bragging rights for naming my house.
That's right. And that one was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do, when I get settled and we decide on a name for the house, we're going to do probably 8 times a year, just a little short 30, 45-minute podcast on folklore and ghost stories.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's a good location.
That would
for
be
that
cool.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right. Well, anybody else got anything going on? Nope.
I've rambled enough.
Yeah.
All right. Again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate y'all hanging out. And until next time, stay weird.
Peace.